I'm your host, Joe Elia. The current pandemic is leaving its mark all over the place, and one obvious area is in medical research. Clinicians are often hearing about new findings on their car radios on the way home or on social media. The credibility of that information is key. Our guest this time is Dr. Paul Sax. He's a contributing editor on NEJM Journal Watch Infectious Diseases, clinical director of the HIV program and Division of Infectious Diseases at Brigham and Women's Hospital, and also a professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School. Globally, he's probably best known for his lively blog, HIV and ID Observations, which he posts almost every week on the NEJM Journal Watch site. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Joe, for inviting me.
I've been reading your most recent blogs, which I'll remind listeners are all available at blogs.jwatch.org. One of the most recent is titled, Reaching Out to Infectious Disease Doctors in COVID-19 Hotspots. You must be truly exhausted. I get the sense that you're talking more to working clinicians than policymakers or professors like yourself. Whom do you imagine is reading your observations?
Well, I actually meant it for the entire infectious disease community. If you think back a million years ago, March 2020, we're starting to hear about this terrible thing that was coming our way. We all knew it was coming. We didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. And then it happened at different times in different parts of the country. So while we were preparing here in Boston and New York City was getting slammed, other parts of the United States were preparing too, but they didn't get hit the way we did in the Northeast. So, I have colleagues in Alabama and Atlanta and Florida and Texas and Arizona, and, things were pretty quiet there. They did have occasional cases. And what happened was that unlike here, where we really got hit hard and we, fortunately, at least for now, knock wood, things are very quiet. For them, they had a period of relative quiet and then a large number of cases. So they've had to sustain this intense involvement with COVID-19 response right from the beginning. Very tough.
Yeah. Now, you serve as a kind of medical cultural reporter on rather mysterious viral infections, HIV and COVID-19. Information on these diseases, and especially now COVID-19, comes at us unremittingly. Is it a hopeless task to try to keep up, or is it essential to try to keep up? And how do you as a reporter keep up for other clinicians?
Well, I would say it's essential to keep up, and the way that we keep up is different from the way it used to be. It used to be you would get your journal mailed to you every week or every month, depending on the frequency, and you would pore over the table of contents and read the abstracts and the interesting papers. You'd read the methods, et cetera, and then the results. Now, rapid fire medical information comes at you really quickly. I want to say that there are some good things about Twitter. Twitter actually is a great place to see medical information very quickly, but it's not adjudicated. So the next step after seeing that information is to try to look at it critically. And I think a really good example of that is the dexamethasone treatment for COVID-19. The first I heard of that was, of course, on Twitter. This group in Britain was promoting their results, and it was very exciting that they had a press release showing a randomized clinical trial that improved survival with dexamethasone. And I kind of made the point after seeing their summary that it should become standard of care for people with COVID-19 who met the criteria that they used in their trial. And as a result, practice changing. Their study was practice changing, and now it has been given the blessing of the New England Journal of Medicine. And I think we can say without much risk of bias that is very, very high praise indeed to be accepted as a paper in that journal.
Yes, I think you're right. And finally, as a reporter yourself, is there a question you wish I'd asked that I didn't?
Well, one thing I do on my blog is I try to write in my own voice. And that is something that I feel like medical journals could use a bit more of. And if I were to give some feedback to some of the medical journals, it would be this. It would be that there is a role for the human being's voice in the august pages of these journals. It doesn't all have to be edited to fit the house style. So that's just one pitch for that.
Okay, that's good advice. I'll pass it on.
Please do. To my good friend, Dr. Eric Rubin.
Thank you, Dr. Sachs, for talking with us today.
Thanks very much, Joe.